His facial expression dropped, and he said, "Well, that goes against my beliefs because I'm Christian." I was a little shocked because I had never considered the religious or spiritual aspect of it. I just knew that I was responding pretty well. Welcome to Living Life in Color Again, the podcast for anyone who has lost a loved one to homicide. I'm your host, Kimberly Christopher. This is the follow-up to episode 12 entitled Trauma and the Nervous System. I'm recording this in March 2026, a time of high stress, conflict, violence, anger, and confusion for many people across the globe. Not surprisingly, our nervous systems react after reading the latest news updates. As I've been scrolling social media and listening to podcast snippets on YouTube, I am so pleased at how often people are talking about nervous system regulation. 20 years ago, this was not the case. I am not a medical doctor, and this is not medical advice. Feel free to consult with your doctors and other members of your care team for more information about what I'm sharing. Let's quickly recap the key takeaways from part 1. All sentient beings have a nervous system, which is complex and layered. The sympathetic nervous system governs fight or flight responses. The parasympathetic nervous system governs rest and digest. Keeping those two systems in balance is important. This balance is called homeostasis. Trauma disrupts the body's natural ability to maintain homeostasis because it overwhelms our stress systems. Trauma exposure leads to low vagal tone, which means that your vagus nerve, a key part of the rest and digest parasympathetic system, is not active. Low vagal tone leads to a reduced ability to calm down from stress, or stress resilience, and difficulty recovering. It's also linked to conditions like depression, anxiety, and gut problems. Now let's talk about how we can restore the nervous system when we are out of homeostasis. First, I want to say that intentionality is important when resetting the nervous system. For best results, we have to take an active role in this process and determine how to incorporate certain practices and activities into our daily or weekly routines. In my experience, using a holistic approach that engages all of the senses has worked best. In addition to considering sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell, I also consider physical, spiritual, mental, and relational well-being. And with that, here are some techniques to increase vagal tone. Deep breathing. Slow, diaphragmatic breathing with a long, slow exhale is one of the most effective ways to trigger the vagus nerve. Vocalizations. The vagus nerve passes through the throat, so stimulating the vocal cords by way of humming, singing, or even gargling water helps. Physical activity and/or body work. Gentle exercises like yoga, stretching, or walking help. I want to pause here and talk about yoga. For most of my adult life, I have lived in the part of the U.S. that is considered the Bible Belt. Let's define that. The Bible Belt refers to the region of the southern U.S. and the Midwestern state of Missouri, where evangelical Protestantism exerts a strong social and cultural influence. So to put it plainly, a lot of people who follow the Bible live in these states, and their beliefs influence their life choices. Many years ago, probably 25 years ago, I mentioned to a coworker that I was going to take a yoga class, and his facial expression dropped, and he said, "Well, that goes against my beliefs because I'm Christian." I was a little shocked because I had never considered the religious or spiritual aspect of it. I just knew that I was responding pretty well to yoga. And then I began to feel like maybe I shouldn't be engaging in it. In 2025, I began to see talking points on social media stating things like, no Christians should be practicing yoga, I recognize that there are people who are not interested in trying yoga because it doesn't align with their religious or spiritual beliefs. I just Googled yoga for Christians and Christ centered yoga, and I do see some options. I also found Torah yoga, which integrates movement with Jewish prayers, meditations, and study of Torah texts. So, if you are interested in learning more about how yoga might help you restore homeostasis without compromising your faith, there might be ways to do that. Invest some time into researching it. Next, social and emotional connection. Hearty laughter, acts of kindness, and positive social connections improve vagal tone. Relational stress, which refers to emotional strain, anxiety, and conflict arising from interactions with personal or professional relationships, actually do the opposite. The body responds to relational stress by perceiving it as a threat, which triggers the sympathetic nervous system to initiate fight or flight responses, which includes increased heart rate, increased cortisol, and adrenaline. So maintaining stressful relationship dynamics keeps your sympathetic nervous system on high alert, which is the opposite of what we want. Now, I realize that there may be relationships that cause you stress that you cannot end. For that, it is really important to create a practice of some kind that allows you to decompress in ways that are constructive. It might be wise to weave together multiple techniques to help your sympathetic nervous system calm down. Health and diet. Choosing a nutrient-dense anti-inflammatory diet that supports gut health, including probiotics and omega-3 fatty acids, can improve vagal nerve function. Choosing healthier options can be tough if you are an emotional snacker or drinker, or if you have more unhealthy snacks than healthy in your pantry. Consider making one change, like swapping coffee for herbal tea. Caffeine is a stimulant, and it does not soothe the nervous system. See if your medical plan covers a visit with a nutritionist to get a clearer picture of where your levels are. Deficiencies in B vitamins, vitamin D, magnesium, and omega-3s disrupt the production of serotonin and dopamine. You can also investigate options like LabCorp on demand to schedule and pay out of pocket for a nutrient panel. Because I like to consider all resources available, let's talk about traditional Chinese medicine, which is also known as TCM. TCM is a holistic, complementary approach to health, focusing on restoring balance, preventing disease, and managing chronic conditions through acupuncture, herbal medicine, and qi cultivation. TCM helps regulate the nervous system by stimulating sensory nerves to trigger neurotransmitter release, like the release of serotonin, lowering the stress hormone, and shifting the body from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic state. In short, it promotes homeostasis, reduces stress, and repairs nerve function. The key modalities include acupuncture and herbal formulas, like custom herbal teas. It is my understanding that very few insurance policies in the U.S. cover acupuncture and TCM visits, so you may need to pay out of pocket. And if you have a health savings account, also called an HSA, you may be eligible for a reimbursement. So check with your HSA administrators about whether you can use your HSA dollars to be reimbursed for acupuncture or other TCM services and visits. Mindfulness and meditation. Regular meditation helps regulate the nervous system. Anything that we do can be considered a meditative activity. Walking, washing dishes, or cleaning the house are examples. I know a large family here in the Carolinas, and it seems that many of the men have adopted car washing as their meditative practice. So if they are feeling stressed or anxious and there are 3 cars parked in the yard, all of those cars will be washed inside and out. Another activity that has a calming effect is crocheting. Crocheting is a mindful activity that can help you relax. The repetitive motion of crocheting, looping yarn over the hook and pulling it through stitches, can put you in a meditative state. For anyone who's thinking, that's for women, men don't crochet. Well, I have seen crocheting groups for men cropping up in various cities. Playfully called brocheting, these groups offer a safe environment free from judgment for male-identified people who want to crochet. Local libraries often host weekly crocheting groups, so if you're curious about it, look into it. Prayer. Yes, prayer can significantly soothe the nervous system by shifting the body from a fight or flight state to a rest and digest state. Rhythmic, focused, or meditative prayer reduces cortisol, slows the heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and activates the calming prefrontal cortex. Meditative prayer is a practice of quiet, focused reflection that encourages the mind, heart, and soul to deepen one's relationship with God. It involves finding a quiet space for a certain amount of time that you choose, using scripture or a sacred word to center oneself, and then listening for divine guidance instead of just speaking. Regular prayer can strengthen neural pathways associated with peace, gratitude, and emotional regulation. Are meditation and prayer the same? No. Meditation and prayer are not the same, though they are closely related practices often used to seek inner peace, calm, and connection with a higher power or with self. Prayer primarily is an active outward communication with God or a divine entity, while meditation is a receptive, inward practice focused on silence, awareness, and stillness. There are some other professional interventions that are available to us to help us find homeostasis. Vagus nerve stimulation. In specific clinical cases, implanted devices can stimulate the vagus nerve. Therapy. Trauma-focused therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy or somatic experiencing can help rewire the nervous system. You can also engage your senses, that's sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste, to calm your nervous system by grounding you in the present moment and shifting the body from a stress response to a state of relaxation. Techniques include deep pressure touch using weighted blankets, aromatherapy, listening to calming sounds, and viewing nature. Using body pillows can help soothe the nervous system by utilizing a therapeutic technique called deep pressure stimulation, DPS, which mimics the calming sensation of a hug. Apparently, there are weighted body pillows that facilitate the release of serotonin and dopamine. These feel-good hormones are associated with improved mood and well-being. Oxytocin. Known as the cuddle hormone, oxytocin is released through physical touch and promotes feelings of trust, emotional security, and calm. If you have an extra pillow or blanket and you are a side sleeper, you can position the blanket or the pillow along your back. Lavender calms the nervous system by promoting parasympathetic activity, reducing the fight or flight responses, lowering heart rate, and decreasing blood pressure. Consider adding lavender around your bed to help with sleep. Peppermint soothes the nervous system through its high menthol content, which acts as a natural muscle relaxant, easing tension headaches and calming a nervous stomach. Its aromatic compounds create a refreshing scent that lowers anxiety, reduces fatigue, and promotes a state of calm alertness. Peppermint tea or sugar-free candy and gum might create the sense of calm for you. Let's talk about sound for a moment. Sound is highly effective at soothing the nervous system by transitioning the body from a fight or flight state to a rest and digest state. It acts as a non-invasive tool to reduce stress hormones like cortisol, lower heart rate and blood pressure, and calm brain waves, with studies showing that 15 minutes of specific sounds can reduce perceived stress by up to 65%. What kinds of sounds are effective for nervous system soothing? Nature sounds are good. Rain, forests, and water sounds significantly reduce stress and lower negative moods. Music, certain tones like classical, low-frequency sounds and binaural beats are highly effective at promoting relaxation. Vocalizations like humming, chanting, and singing activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Did you know that cats purring can help reduce stress? A cat's purr vibrates at a frequency between 25 and 150 hertz, a range that corresponds with therapeutic frequencies in human medicine used to improve bone density, promote tissue regeneration, and reduce pain. These vibrations soothe the human nervous system, lowering blood pressure, reducing stress, and may even aid in healing broken bones. The rhythmic sound and vibration have a calming effect that lowers cortisol levels, reduce anxiety, and act similar to meditation. And last but not least, let's talk about gardening. Gardening soothes the nervous system by creating a shift from sympathetic mode to parasympathetic mode, effectively lowering cortisol levels. It promotes mindfulness through sensory engagement, encourages physical activity, and fosters a connection with nature that reduces anxiety, depression, and mental fatigue. Gardening has the potential to heal us in so many ways. So whether you're working with a vegetable garden or flower garden, you have a powerful way to bring your nervous system back into balance. And after tending to the garden, you've got delicious, nourishing food or fragrant flowers that you can enjoy. Anyone can try these techniques, not just people affected by homicide loss. Try one or more of these on a daily basis. Add something that I haven't discussed. No matter what tools you plan to incorporate, I hope that you are intentional about regulating your nervous system. Find what works for you. Before we close, I want to have a moment of silence for anyone who is mourning the recent death of a loved one to homicide, anyone observing the anniversary of a loved one's death, or navigating holidays and or the birthday of a departed loved one. May you find peace. May you find compassion. Thanks for listening. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and YouTube, and share with your friends. Until next time.